announced for the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies!
All right, Smokies fans, welcome back to the Pilot pregame show. We're still here live from the Carolina Ale House. And, man, do we love being here. We just tried some great food on the first segment that will be played on our Covenant Health Park scoreboard. And, man, the wings were phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Pretzel breadsticks were good. Any last comments from you guys about the food before we keep moving it on?
So I didn't realize there were 3 different type of wings you could get.
Yeah, who knew?
There was what? Like naked, fried, and
naked and grilled.
Naked and grilled, yeah, and grilled. So there's 3 different types of wings you could get here.
I feel like we chose the right.
I think so. We chose fried?
Yep.
Yeah.
We chose the fried, getting it in there. They were nice and crispy. Great Carolina barbecue flavor. They've got 6 flavors in total. We went with their signature Carolina barbecue. We all gave it great ratings. So as we kind of move on, we gave you a little bit of a preview of the game in our last segment. But now as we start off the second segment, we always like talking about our Cubs news, our big brothers out there in Chicago. You can also call our big brothers over there in Iowa, too. Mm-hmm. Everybody's over there in Illinois who's looking down on us. But, hey, you never know what could happen, as just recently, Jameson Taillon, one of the mainstays in the Chicago Cubs rotation, just got put on the 15-day IL. It looks like Jordan Wicks, 25-year-old prospect, is going to come up and replace him. But this is an interesting one here because it seems like the injuries just keep coming.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about there?
I love Wicks. When he was here in 2023, he was phenomenal. He's got one of the best changeups in the game, a lefty from Kansas State, first-round draft pick by the Chicago Cubs from the Big 12. Just has a certain demeanor to him, very regiment with his pitching style, and a great off-speed mix with the changeup and curveball. So looking forward to seeing Wixie back up in the big leagues. And man, for the Cubs, they've just got so many injuries in their starting rotation this year. You know, now it's Taillon out. We just saw Shota Imanaga finally return. So, man, even though they're battered and bruised this year, a lot of guys on the IL, they're still the best team up in the National League Central. So that's always good to see. And you know, the Cubs just have so much talent this year that they're able to sustain these injuries and still perform at a high level.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a brutal injury. I mean, Craig Counsell said Taillon got injured while running on Thursday following a bullpen session. Wasn't even an in-game injury. Luckily, it's not anything like, hey, he was at a bowling alley and dropped a ball on his foot, and now he's out for 2 weeks. At least this was during a baseball activity, but such a tough injury for a guy who's been 7-6 with a 4.44 ERA. He's made 17 starts for the Cubs, so even if that ERA isn't where you want it to be, having a guy who can eat up innings like that throughout a whole season is going to make your whole entire team better. And Counsell said the plan right now is to use Wicks as replacement out of the bullpen rather than having him go right into Taillon's spot in the rotation. So the Cubs are actually going to have to treat Saturday's game against the Cardinals as a bullpen game. We saw him absolutely put it on the Cardinals today.
Yeah.
5-something home runs in the game before the 7th inning? But, man, so obviously the offense is doing all right now. But the pitching staff's still going to be some things to figure out as we get into this trade deadline season. It's been big talks that the Cubs are going out and looking for starting pitching help. So we'll see if this kind of accelerates their timeline and how they're able to go out and try to grab some of these new guys. And with that, of course, as we're talking about trade deadline season, also got to mention that, hey, we know it's all-star break season as well, and the Cubs have 2 starters. Tyson, who's going to be slotting it out there in the NL?
Yes, for the Chicago Cubs, they have 2 outfield starters, Pete Crow Armstrong and Kyle Tucker. Crow Armstrong, who has already made a 20 home run, 20 steal season, is probably one of the fan favorites of the Chicago Cubs organization. He's gotten some votes, and they both were given starter votes. So great to hear that from him. And his partner, Kyle Tucker, who was picked up by Houston in December from the Astros. He's also left a great impression coming to the Cubs organization, as he also has 17 home runs with 20 stolen bases. So a little double trouble that they had back there in the outfield. Is great to see that the Cubs are still showing some support out there. So great to see that those two players are thriving in the league.
A lot of speed, a lot of power, and I like this combination of guys. And Richie, I wanted to ask you a question because one of these guys has come up through the Chicago system, the other came out. So what's your kind of take, since you've been with the team now for a couple of years, on seeing these guys progress through the Cubs system? Do you think that really benefits these guys once they get up to the big leagues with the team that they really had to grind it out through?
Oh, 100%. Like, Hollywood Pete, he had some struggles the first time he got to Double-A. They were throwing him a lot of breaking stuff, and he was really antsy at the plate. So for him, his development at the dish was, I got to be more patient. These pitches right here are the pitches I got to connect on, right down the middle. But then he would chase a lot of pitches out of the zone to start at bats because he was so antsy to hit. But a guy that just brings so much energy and is so fun to watch. Today at the plate against St. Louis, he had 2 bombs, 4 for 4, 10 total bases, which is a season high. And, it's just hard to beat that energy that he brings to the ballpark every day. And then, it's also his speed. Like this play here, the fact that he's even able to get to that ball in the first place is incredible, and then make the catch and slam into the wall. Some of the best speed right now in all of Major League Baseball. He's a great route runner, always is locked in on that first step. So they knew what they were getting. He was a pick out of high school, just so much speed and athleticism, but they didn't really know what the bat was going to be like. And I think to answer, the question that you offered me is, I think him being in the minor leagues for as long as he did really has helped him, because they could have brought him up 2 years prior, but they did let him develop in the minor leagues and figure some stuff out at the plate. So that did really help him.
And it seems like the Cubs are just one of these organizations that likes letting their guys soak it up in the minor leagues, really let them mature before, you really throw them out into the deep end in the big leagues. And it's cool to see that Crow and Tucker are going to be side by side out there in the outfield, because we don't know how much longer we're going to get to see this combo play in the same outfield. Kyle Tucker has still not re-upped a long-term contract with the Chicago Cubs. They gave up prospects, including Cam Smith, who's been such a breakout star for the Astros so far this season. So it's going to be, a really big storyline to see if the Cubs can lock up this outfielder in Kyle Tucker. So Tyson and Richie, I'll throw it to you, Tyson, first. What would be your pitch? Give me one sentence. It's like, why should Kyle Tucker stay in Chicago?
One, because the organization already loves him back.
That's right.
They've really appreciated him as he's came to this organization and really helped them out, giving them stuff to cheer for. So if your organization loves you, why leave?
I think that's a great point. And then, Richie, what do you think? What's your selling point to Kyle Tucker on why he needs to stay here in Chicago?
They're winning. First place team right now. It's hard to beat. You could go somewhere else and stink. And with the system that the Cubs have, they still have so much talent down at the minor league level. Like it's not one of those organizations where they're loaded at the big leagues right now and they have nothing left in the minor leagues. They still have a lot of young talent. We still have not seen Owen Casey in the big leagues, and he's one of the best outfielders right now in the minors. Any other organization, he'd be up in Major League Baseball right now. But when you have Seiya Suzuki having such a good year, Pete Crow Armstrong, and then Kyle Tucker, there's nowhere to put them. So it's not like this organization's top-loaded. There's talent spread throughout. So, if I'm Kyle Tucker, one, I'm looking at Chicago saying they have probably top 3 fan base in baseball, which is hard to beat. You have a winning season, back-to-back years, and this year they're really good. And you still have a lot of young talent on the team. So you're going to be good for a couple years.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for Tucker is that the one thing that might be pulling him towards this free agent market is that he might be the headline player in the entire free agency.
Yeah.
If you look at outfielders who are coming up on free agent contracts, you got Kyle Tucker, Kyle Schwarber, another former Cub, Cody Bellinger, another former Cub, Luis Robert Jr., another Chicago guy, Tyler O'Neill, Cedric Mullins, and the list goes on. So Kyle Tucker is right up there as the premier outfielder on the market. And then you look around at the other position players. You got guys like Alex Bregman, Bo Bichette, Pete Alonso, JT Realmuto. Kyle Tucker is still probably the most attractive out of any of those free agents because of the 5 tools that he brings to the table. So you never know.
What he should do is contact his old buddy and Alex Bregman and try and get him to Chicago, and then you form an all-star team, and then you're unstoppable at that point.
It's going to be so interesting, and I think for a guy like Kyle Tucker, who's spent most of his career with a winning franchise, he's kind of got the winning under his belt. I don't know if you're going to be able to sell him by it's like, hey, we can guarantee you winning seasons for the rest of your career, because I think Kyle Tucker knows where he's going to be able to go and still have consistent winning seasons. He's been around the league long enough. He's seen organizations like the Astros and the Dodgers make it to the postseason year after year. So I'm sure that's going to be part of the equation, but I think the money, this guy's been waiting for free agency for so long, I wouldn't be surprised if he just wants to go see a dollar amount. Maybe if the Cubs give him the best number, hopefully he comes back, but you never know once those big numbers start rolling in. So with that, folks, we'll go ahead and wrap up our Cubs news there. We always like checking in on the big league club because, as always, there's the trickle-down effect. Whatever happens up there with the Cubs or the iCubs, it's going to affect what happens here in Knoxville. And with that, we'll go ahead and get back into what's going down in Knoxville tonight. It's our 4th of July game. We're going to go ahead and dive a little bit further into our lineups and starting pitchers. So first, let's go ahead and recap the starting pitchers. Richie, who's on the mound for the Trash Pandas?
Yeah, tonight they're going to start Sam Ryan, who's 0-0 with a 2.45 ERA, making his first start in 3 years. He started his career in the Blue Jays organization, got drafted by them. They released him at the end of last season, and the Angels picked him up. He is a bullpen guy. He hasn't started a game this year, so I wouldn't expect too many innings out of Sam Ryan, but he's going to throw strikes, and he's going to try and get you at least 2 or 3 innings to cover some ground tonight. This is a bullpen game for the Rocket City Trash Pandas tonight, and then we're going to throw a bullpen game tomorrow. So it's key to start the weekend for Sam Ryan to give them some innings.
Yeah, and you mentioned that bullpen game, and we got to talk about one thing before we get into the starting pitcher for the Smokies tonight, and that's just congratulating our guy, Chris Cashmar. Cashmar getting the call up to AAA. This is not the first time he'll be in AAA, but the second time that he looks to stay there. And hopefully for an extended period of time. We've been talking about all of these question marks with the Cubs rotation. So Chris Cashmar, who knows? He's had a mechanical switch recently. He's been having a really good season in terms of what his stuff is looking like against opposing teams. So who knows? Maybe he's able to be the answer for a short period of time when the Cubs need some help up there. Chris Cashmar, got to clap it up for him. Congratulations to the right-handed veteran on getting the call up to AAA. Wishing him luck out in Iowa. And with that, we'll go ahead and bring it back in once we start talking about our Knoxville starter tonight. Tyson, it's the debut of Tyler Schlafer. What's the rundown on him?
We got Tyler Schlafer coming up from High A with the South Bend team. He went 3-1 with a 4.10 ERA, striking out 60 batters. Great guy. Going to be debuting today. Hopefully we can get a nice performance out of him, as he's already the last game that he started, he had 10 strikeouts. So hopefully we can get a little bit of that action from Schlafer again. Excited to see him on the mound today. Hopefully he's all good.
Yeah, this is a guy who was drafted out of high school, not an incredibly large frame. He's about 6'1", 180. But as you see from those highlights right there, it seems like he throws aggressively. Like he's a guy who gets his whole body into the windup. He's going to give you that mid-90s fastball, and he's going to use multiple breaking balls, as Richie, you kind of previewed earlier. Seems like that should be a good recipe for success against the lineup who's never seen him before.
Yeah, 100%. This is the worst offensive hitting team in the Southern League this year in Rocket City. So if you pick the team for Schlafer to make his debut against, it would be Rocket City. So hopefully he's able to get some strikeouts tonight. But, kind of like we mentioned before, yeah, Rocket City had that 15-game losing streak, and then they pop out, scored 9 runs on Wednesday, and they scored 10 runs yesterday. So, yeah, they're the worst statistical team, but in the month of July, they're not. They're actually hitting the ball really well, coming off a 5-home-run game last night where Oscar Colas, former big leaguer for the White Sox, had 3 home runs. So they got some confidence at the plate.
Yeah, but if you want to, level that confidence out, here's a fun stat for you. The Smokies have let up the least amount of home runs at their home ballpark than any team in the big league. So speaking to the fact of how Covenant Health Park is kind of playing as a pitcher's park in its first year of seeing a lot of these teams. And then fun fact, Rocket City has let up more home runs than any other team at their home ballpark. So Rocket City, a little bit of a bang box in itself. So we'll see how the offense levels out and how the pitching is able to take control. When we return to Covenant Health Park tonight, it's a 7 o'clock first pitch start. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into our lineups. Richie, I'll throw it to you first. What's the 1 through 9 looking like for the Rocket City Trash Pandas?
Yeah, so they start the speedy center fielder, Nelson Rada, one of the youngest player in the Southern League, leads it off tonight for Rocket City. Tyler Blankenhorn, former big leaguer for the Twins, is the DH batting second. Denzer Guzman, the shortstop, batting third. Oscar Colas, who we just talked about, a 3-home run performance yesterday. The reason that Rocket City beat Knoxville 10-8 last night. He bats fourth and plays right. Ben Goebel is their 5-hitting first baseman. David Mershon bats sixth at third. Miles Emerson will do the catching, batting seventh. Joe Redfield, a new addition into the lineup, and left field batting eighth. And then Mac McCroskey is the second baseman, batting ninth. And as we have talked about, Sam Ryan will make his first start of the season in the bullpen game.
That's right. And here's how 1 through 9 is lined up for Lance Reimel tonight. Tyson, why don't you give us the starting lineup?
We're going to start off with Parker Chavers, who is the left-handed batter in the center field position today. Coming in right after him is going to be Pedro Ramirez, the switch hitter, playing second baseman today. Corey Joyce at shortstop coming in third. And our cleanup batter is going to be B.J. Murray Jr., who is going to be third base today, the switch hitter. Jordan Wogu coming in fifth is going to be in left field. Then we have Ethan Hearn, the left-handed batter, coming in, who's going to be playing the first base position. Felix Stevens, our DH for tonight. Right after him is going to be Casey Opitz, our switch hitting catcher for tonight. Then we have Jalen Palmer ending it off in the right field.
Yeah, I like the way Lance Reimel has conducted this lineup without presences like Brett Bateman and some other guys that we've had in the lineup throughout this season. But Jordan Wogu's been incredibly hot. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into our players to watch. Hopefully I didn't spoil it too much right there for you, Tyson, but I'll throw it back to you. Who's the guy you're keeping an eye on today?
Yeah, as Connor said, my player to watch is going to have to be Jordan Wogu today, our Wendy's double stack batter. Not because he's our Wendy's double stack batter, but he has been on a roll as of lately. Hopefully he can just keep it up. He's been connecting with the ball lately, getting on base very well and fielding very well. Just excited to see how he can just keep this up and keep up the good work. He does owe us some Wendy's double stack batters, though, so hope he can get on second today with the double.
Yeah, we hope so. I mean, this whole broadcast crew kind of just loves Wendy's. We all kind of go as a group anytime we can, whenever those promotions are handed out. I know Richie kind of tries to steal everybody's coupons, so you got to make sure, you're holding on to them tight around the Richter. Mm-hmm. But, Richie, who's the guy you're keeping an eye on tonight?
Yeah, I think Parker Chavers has to set the tone. This is only the fourth time all season where he's going to lead a game off for Knoxville. So typically you see him in the 7 or 8 hole. This is a big adjustment for him. He's not used to batting in the first inning. So he's got to be ready to swing it early tonight and playing in center field, taking over for Brett Bateman as well. So it's not just offensively, but defensively, we're going to need Chavers to lock it in.
Yeah, I like it. He was my player to watch yesterday. It didn't go quite how I was looking for, but yeah. Richie, I'm hoping he gives you some better luck here tonight. And since I went with Chavers yesterday and Richie took him today, I can't go back to back. But in that case, I'm going to go in the hitting aisle right here. The DH, the big flex, Felix Stevens. He's my guy to watch out for tonight because I've been talking about how much I've been wanting to see more home runs out of this lineup. We haven't had any in the last couple of days, no fireworks. But I'm expecting 4th of July to really bring out the Rockets in these guys, not the Rockets in Rocket City. So Felix Stevens, the big flex, the DH out of the 7 hole, looking for some big things out of the lineup from him today. Hopefully that can get, this whole lineup really gelled from the top to the middle to the bottom. I think Felix Stevens is going to be a big part in that. He's had some pinch hit appearances as well to kind of go along with how this coaching staff trusts this guy's bat. Everybody knows with one swing he could really do a lot of damage. So he's going to be who I'm keeping an eye on today. And with that, kind of wrap up our pilot pregame show here in our second segment. Sending it back to the field where it's a 7 o'clock first pitch start. It'll be Mick Gillespie and Richie Giuliano along the call. You can watch the game free tonight. MILB TV is allowing every minor league game to be watched for free on MILB TV for the 4th of July. So happy 4th to everybody. Tyson, Richie, any last words before we log out?
Yeah, not only tonight, but tomorrow night we're also going to have fireworks as well. So get your tickets, SmokiesBaseball.com. Always call the box office and tell them that the broadcast crew sent you. So it's been a good pregame show, and glad to be back at the L House. We're going to continue this, and next time we'll We've had dessert. We've had wings, pretzel bites. I don't know what we're going to get next.
We got a burger last time when you were absent, Richie, so you didn't get to see that. But, yeah, I mean, we're running through this Carolina Ale House menu. If you got any suggestions, go ahead and drop one in the comments in the next show, and we will make sure to order that up, try it for you, give you our first Taste Buds reviews. So with that, Tyson, any last words for the fans viewing over our YouTube live stream?
Stay safe this July 4th away from the fireworks. Great pregame show. Go Smokies. Let's get it.
Yeah, stay away from the fireworks, as we got to shout out Rocket City, who had a little bit of a blunder. Not exactly sure which season it was, but there's a viral clip going around of how Rocket City actually shot some fireworks into the fan section. So the Smokies are going to look to make sure they're keeping their fireworks going straight up tonight. And hopefully we can raise that W flag along with those fireworks at the end of the game. 7 o'clock first pitch start coming up. Trash Pandas versus Smokies at Covenant Health Park. Once again, you can tune in on MILB TV for free. Listen on 92.5 or 1180 WKCE. And next time we're at the Carolina Ale House, every time on a Friday when the team is home, make sure you come visit us here. Tomorrow we'll be at the Jig and Reel, just steps away from the stadium, so you can join us there too. But with that, for Tyson Belton, Richie Giuliano, I'm Connor Nelson, signing out for the live pilot pregame show here from the Carolina Ale House. We'll end it off with a classic, Let's Go Smokies.
Fans, for the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies! Woo!